It's Brock Bowen here. I'm here again with today for the first time with Ed Turner, actually, and again with another conversation for the quantum movement. And Ed's literally super brand new to all of this, so I thought I'd grab him on now, have a bit of a conversation, and yeah, basically just hear some insights. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Ed. You can just let us know anything, whatever pops up, whatever pops to mind. And essentially, we just want to share more of what we're up to here at the Quantum Movement to help more people understand. And also, to speak to you, Ed, so that you have more clarity around it for yourself to see, where was I then? And then where am I, moving forward? So, yeah, where are you today? And what's your life about right now?
Interesting, Brock, you asked that question. I'm sitting here writing a board pack that I do every 90 days with a group of people that I've been doing for many, many years. And in the last sort of 90 days from when I was last in the room with those guys to when I get back in the room with them, which is sort of Monday week, the shift I've had over that period of time, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, has just been like breathtaking. And it's sort of like I'm trying to articulate what's happened so I can let these guys know. And it's been really good because I'm able to write down exactly where I'm at and where I've moved to and where I've moved from and what the major shifts are. And, putting that down on paper is a really great way of getting clear on, what, where, why, and how.
Yeah.
So I guess if I was to put that at a high level where I'm at, I feel like I'm getting really close to finding what my ultimate purpose is.
I like that.
It's the coolest thing. And I'm staring at my words that I wrote on this thing, and the theme for when I get in the room with these guys and I get in my hot seat, is based around, which I do for 2 hours. So I get 2 hours of their time to go through the challenges and the bottlenecks that I have to move forward. And I've themed that board as organising for growth.
Yeah.
And what I feel like I've sort of framed my ultimate purpose as my $1 billion question. And I'm working with another guy that Jason knows, and his challenge to us, to guys that are participating, is that he wants us to have $1 billion revenue turnover in the time that we work with him.
Yep.
So, funnily, when I think of serendipity and all those sort of things, I've been writing down for the last 12 months. My $1 billion business is coming to me now. Every day is one of the affirmations I say to myself. And, and for the people that are listening and I can tell you honestly, when I started first writing that, it was I want that, I need. It wasn't so much a need. It was I would like that, I want that. And then it went through periods of, as you always go with life, there's the dips as well as the highs. And there's periods when I started writing that and it was completely coming up in my head was like, yeah, right. As if that's going to freaking happen. Who do you think you are to even probably write the word $1 billion down?
Yeah, all that noise that comes up.
Yeah. So, in the last 90 days, I've really worked hard on understanding where that's coming from and what to do about that and working out habits to come around that. But now when I write the $1 billion question, which is a code for my ultimate purpose, it just has a way different meaning, and that's the shift that's occurred mentally in my head. But I don't, it's not here. It's actually moved to here now.
And when you point here, you're going into your body or down to your heart, just so everyone listening knows what you mean.
No, it's my heart.
Yeah, right.
Into my heart. Yeah, I'm going to my heart. It all comes from the heart. Yeah.
I have that too when I'm clear.
So it ain't about the money.
When I'm clear, I always seem to point there. It's almost like this it comes through. But yeah, just as well, I'm curious, how'd you come about hearing about Jason Reynolds and the quantum movement? You've obviously been around. I'm just guessing from what you said just then, you've seen a few things around. And how did you come across Jason Reynolds and the quantum movement?
Well, I met Jason at the one and only Traffic and Conversion Summit that's been out of the US.
Yeah.
That Ryan Dice runs.
Yeah,
So I met Jace. Hey.
yeah, I'm just always curious. I'm interested how you met. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So we met and connected pretty well quickly. Like, you know, when people meet, you go, that guy, nah. Jace and I just went bang. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met there, and we've sort of kept in touch because he's up in Noosa, and I have my board meetings up on the Sunshine Coast every 90 days. So, you know, since I met him, I kept saying, look, I'm coming up at this day. He's either not there or we can't meet up. And eventually we met up for lunch, for dinner one night, and we've just kept in touch because we're sort of playing at that space, and, you know, we bounce shit off each other, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's similar to how we met. He reached out to me online and then we got on a call. And as soon as I started to live on the Sunshine Coast, we started catching up. And I'm curious, though, for you as well to articulate, you know, when you meet, I mean, you go along to these events, there might be 100 or 1,000 people there. And I know for myself, I usually see one person. And I'm just like, I have to, almost like the same way you pointed to this before. For me, it's like that feeling where I just know something, or there's a sense. So for you, what is it when you see someone? How do you know to stay connected?
I guess intuitively there's like you see someone, and only because I'm reading about a book now, but they will have certain features that will attract you in the first place. And then I think once you engage with them, then you'll connect on a mental level based on whatever comes out of here.
Yeah.
And here, or here and there. And then if that resonates with you, and moves down here, then I think you go, yeah, I like them, and I want to hang around them more because they make me feel better.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So tell me, we're just talking about Jason too, because just like this when I'm having the conversations, what is it you like about him? I can tell you all the things I like about him, but I'm curious, what do you like about Jason Reynolds?
Authentic insight.
I like that, authentic insight.
Yeah, he just gets straight to where, now that's where we go. Like, because he's almost coaching me on developing, this stuff in Quantum U. I call him up and go, hey man, or I text him and I go, just want to share something, an insight or something like that. And usually actually I'll text it to him. And then he'll try and call me back, and eventually we'll connect and have a a long conversation that just goes off on mad tangents, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I love those conversations.
Yeah.
Just those value add things. I almost feel like your body comes alive or something. You know, you speak to some people and you want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you speak to other people and you get excited like a little kid almost. It brings out a certain energy. Say you were talking to someone, family member or a friend about Jason, and you just wanted to express your gratitude, just what's been happening recently. You wanted to say it in one line. What would be something you might say?
Well, okay, so that's a bit of a hard one to answer because I actually was just before we jumped on this call, I was talking to my CFO, and she's working with me today cool. On a Saturday, but she was trying to understand, she's a very left brain operator because she's an accountant, right? So I'm trying to explain to her why I'm spending all this money on my education and, trying to elevate my game. And she goes, yeah, I get that. What else are you getting out of working with, say Jason and Adam? And I said, well, I get, obviously these guys are playing business at a pretty high level. Certainly Adam's just smoked it. And so you want to look under the hood of someone like that has done to accelerate their business so quickly, because that's what we all want. But I was trying to explain to her, and this is what I'm getting with Jason, is that the other component that they teach is really connecting with your higher self and your intuition, and just becoming the observer of events that happen in your life. And that's what these guys, Jason, can do really well. Is he can explain and articulate and this is really good, because what's really shifted me over the last, say, 60, 90 days is intuitively, I think everyone feels and understands intuitively what Jason teaches. And I think that as you elevate your level of consciousness, you're able to articulate the feeling better. And feelings, because they are feelings, and what part of the brain they come from, which is the oldest part of our brain, it's very hard to articulate how you feel about something. That's why most people struggle with that, and because our ability to articulate is our youngest part of our brain, our neocortex. So really trying to connect the two is quite a hard thing to do, and you really need to let go of ego and all those things that allow you to come from that space of, higher thought and spirit, and however you want to label it. That's why I'm coming to people like Jason and others to help me play in that space more, so that I can get out of my way and move more towards fulfilling my purpose, my ultimate purpose, my $1 billion, dreams, all that sort of stuff. For me to be able to achieve that with, ease and grace, I have to embrace this part of myself. And it's just a much easier way to, not only easier, it's just a much more enjoyable freedom, way to operate from. So that's where I want to go.
How are you finding
I'm attracted.
We just talked about your CFO a second ago, and I know you're married with kids, and you've obviously got a team, and you do these different things with clients. How are you finding it? You say the feeling that's coming through. How are you finding then you're articulating that to your team? Have you found it easy? Have you found it challenging? What are some of the blocks that are coming through?
Look, I'm getting better at being able to articulate this particular topic to the level at which the person's at that I'm talking and communicating with. So I guess I could have the energetic conversation. If my brain's up here, or my level of frequency is up here, like highly elevated, playing in this space, and someone, just because of where they're at, and it's not better or worse, they're just down on a lower plane, and if I come in with this level of frequency and try to communicate that down, you can imagine if they're trying to tune in, or I'm trying to tune into them, I know what you're talking about, bro. You understand, right? So they're not on the frequency, they just don't get me, and they just the communication exchange is just like they glaze over, or they just go, they're thinking to themselves, what the fuck is Ed talking about? So you got to learn to sort of come down to that level and communicate on that frequency. So that's what I'm getting better at, is just picking my words and understanding where that person's at really, quickly, and then changing my tact to land on them with the message I'm trying to get across. So a lot of my team, I don't even attempt to have the energetic conversation. It's more about, more specifics around, okay, how we need to do this, how we need to do that. And if a door opens up for me to sort of land a little something on their shoulder to maybe get them to be more in touch with this, pointing to this. I always reference everything back in a subtle way. Again, that frequency thing, and how often I would reference that back, and how strongly I would make that point made would be basically the level that they're at. So, people that are a bit higher on the plane, I can start to sort of say, how you feel when, and they go, yeah. And then you can lift them up that way.
I like slowly. How you see it in just common language. People say, you just feel like someone's on the same wavelength to me, or this guy gets it. But I just also saw...
So I noticed this is really cool. And every time you have a conversation, like at the moment, every time I'm having conversations with people, one, I've got to stop butting in because it's rude. But two, I'm really seeing how to master the conversation to the person. And what I noticed with the really good communicators is they do what I described before. And sometimes people can come in at this high level and try and communicate down to a person, and it's not going to work. So you really have to be able to come from a high level and really downplay it, and I guess maybe even come underneath them and then prop them up and lift that way with basic language and language that they're going to understand and can find some way you can resonate and land the conversation and the points you're trying to make with them, so that you can pull them up, not push them up. Because if you're pushing them up, trying to push them up, they're just going to fall back down. So you got to try and pull them up.
Just interesting you talk about that. I did it in Melbourne where we went and we did this exercise with horses, and horses pick up on energy. And basically, there's a lady in Melbourne, she does leadership training with horses. And it'd be interesting to do what we've, all discovered with Jason and obviously all the other stuff you're doing. But this lady takes you out with horses and they pick up on energy. And when you're present with them, like your energy's matched with where they are, they'll follow you around. But you're not, I know for myself, I just check it. I'd just relax, and then they would follow me around. And then when I didn't, they would push me into the fence.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Horses, I guess, I think, so my belief is that all living things have this energy, right? And animals is probably more intuitive because they don't have this ego as much. I guess the more intelligent the animal becomes, the more they have this sort of, this conscious part of their brain. But obviously Homo sapiens are the ones that have the most independent thought. So animals are really intuitive to it. So they just immediately, they live in that space. So horses provide a really good metaphor for being able to communicate that and demonstrate that to people that are not as conscious as, or in that place. So you really, what the conversation I had with you before about, coming in at a level and finding a way and just lifting them up. I mean, a horse is permanently up here on that plane. It doesn't have the neocortex side of the operating, but it's permanently in that instinct and spirit level. So, and people, there's no ego at all with someone communicating with a horse, other than if another human being over there and they're going, I wonder what they think I'm a freaking idiot because I'm doing this with a horse. So that's the only thing going on the person's mind. But the horse, it's a cool way of bringing this concept. I haven't really thought about it, but it is a cool way of bringing people into this space of, awareness and instinct and higher playing, and it's really cool. But I mean, I remember the first time I really felt this connection and force was I was working in one of our family business. We had vineyards, and I was in a vineyard, and I was I was training some grapes up, young vines up onto the vine, and this bee came, and like you, I was sitting there with music in, and it was, I was just in the zone and just really enjoying it. Yep.
I love those days.
And this bee came and landed on this, just came and landed on the leaf. And for whatever reason, I just connected with, hard to explain, but I'll just say it how I felt it at the time. I just felt connected with everything. And I just started crying. Like, I was like, holy, this is the most amazing power just filled right within me. And it was, I don't know how long it lasted. It felt like a long time, but I'm sure it wasn't. And I couldn't hang on to it. It was just too much power, too much emotion. It was just this amazing feeling of love for everything. And it just overfilled my cup, and I just crying. And then I started to think how much, I don't know whether it was a message or it was just my ego coming in. But then I started to feel how much we're killing the joint, and I couldn't hang on to it. I had to let it go. But it just moved. It totally moved my everything. First time I felt it. So
special moments.
Very,
I love that.
Very, very. But now I can connect with things just by listening to music and sitting and relaxing. I maybe not as powerful as I experienced that day, but I can connect on a level with that pretty quickly. I can do it just looking at my daughter or something like that. And the more I can, go to the gym and work that muscle of connecting, the more I can play in this space, and the more intuitive thought I have, the more I get out of my own way of, overthinking stuff, and it's cool. I'm still playing with stuff. We're all still working this thing out. So
it's just interesting. I always contemplate, even for my own journey, why is it we got to connect back in? You know, you think about that horse or that bee or the consciousness of, say, a waterfall, and it's infinite. And then for us, we try and separate ourselves from that. It's been a fascination for me too. But I just want to keep on some of the questions so we keep it tight.
Yeah, go for it.
Next one I want to look at too, you know, you've been in business for a while. You talked about the winery. I assume you've had a few different things. I look behind you and you've got some diagrams mapped out. So I understand you've got some business now. It's about you. So what would you say, how are you achieving results? Say before you learn about Jason and quantum movement and so forth. You're obviously being good at creating results, but I just want to kind of get a point of difference to see what ways were you creating results? You know, some people talk about they take massive action or goal setting or different things. Is that a clear enough question?
Yeah.
Go a bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm happy if you want to go a little bit deeper. That'll give me a little bit more time to think about a response for you.
Yeah, of course. Happy to. So just looking at those different things, you know, sometimes you feel in life like you're pushing against things. And if you put enough energy into it, you can get shit done. But even going back to that energy where you're saying you're here connecting with other people here, and then there's a certain flow or a sense of things coming together or an ease or different things.
So back to your question, what was your specific question again?
I was specifically on that, just looking at how have you been achieving results? Just to say, up until this point in your life, you've come across some new information with Jason. Also, you mentioned another guy, Adam, and you've come across some different insights, understanding information recently. I just want to know, like, how were you creating results before and what's really shifted?
Well, look, I mean, I've experienced results and a lack of results, probably more so in terms of on the time continuum of, like, I've probably failed for longer than I've been successful. But obviously, if you want to be successful, things have got to go well for a while, for longer than not. Yeah. But how have I experienced results? So, look, most of my life's probably been just pure grunt. Just get it done, hard work. I have experienced times where things have come easy. You know, I had a period where I was in the financial markets, and that's probably where I experienced this first. It's actually what triggered my personal development off, because I had to do this thing called trading in a bank and from my own account as well, and that was just the most confronting thing I've ever done. And I just, at the end of it all, like, I did a lot of work internally, did a lot of work with Tony Robbins, all that sort of stuff, because, you know, some days you can make, you know, a stupid amount of money with zero effort, as it takes to, you know, when I'm working on a farm, working fucking 24 hours a day, just grunting it out. And it would take me 10 years to earn the amount of money that I earn in a day, you know, in my farming career, say. So that is hard to get your head around. And certainly, again, go back to the trading where I had, you know, I was trading and I had someone else's money and I was trading for them. So I felt the pressure of, I have to perform. And I, at the end of it, what killed me in that was, like, I made just enough to cover my wage, funnily enough.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't operate from the point of view of going, you know what, my whole life and some existence can be reflected in this profit and loss statement. I just couldn't live with that. I just couldn't do it anymore. But I'm grateful for the experience, because it started me down this journey of understanding, you know, self-sabotage and all the things that go with, you know, elevating your consciousness, and introduced me to a lot of stuff. But then I've had so many different businesses, and most of them, I'd have to say, if I'd summarize it all up, it's just been pure grunt, hard work, all the old school stuff. And, you know, it's only now I'm coming into this space where I'm playing with Jason and, you know, and this other guy, Adam, and really looking for more of the the frictionless and the flow and, you know, all those sort of things, because I'm just finding, all right, this is the path I feel like I need to be going down. And the more I can align myself with that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from a why am I doing this point of view through to who can I add value to, and, you know, align it all the way through it from way high to way low down, you know, where your strategies and all those sort of things. The more alignment I can create on that, or the clearer I am about it, the easier it seems to be to go.
Sure. So what would you say is different about this?
Yeah.
You mentioned some other personal development teachers. So with the stuff you're up to recently, you said you felt a shift. So what would you say is different about this? I've been around some of that stuff too, and I could give my opinion, but I'm not here for that. I'm just curious with yours.
Sure. Yeah. So, look, I can't put, and I wouldn't put everything that in the last. So I've only been with you guys for, like, I've done one session.
That's what I heard.
I've had probably. Yeah. So obviously I've come into this with a bit of momentum and obviously some other stuff going on.
Mm.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I say in another 60 days, and I know that it'll be different. But here's my thinking on this. I don't think, and I'm a coach and I help people, you know, achieve results in their businesses and their life and all that sort of stuff. And I'm definitely not a subscriber to the view that I'm your guru and I'm going to help you. I mean, my whole mantra in the space that I play in is I'm a leader. I'm not a savior. Like, you're going to do it yourself. I'm just going to help you get out of your own way and show you a few things and put the curves on the aisle of the, you know, the bowling alley, so that when you hit the side, you're going to bounce back into the middle a bit.
I like that.
So, you know, I've done a lot of reading in this space of where I'm trying to play now. And I think, to be honest, a lot of those have had a massive impact in my thinking, that now that I'm starting to create space, that stuff I learned is really starting to fall into the vacuum that I'm creating by building that space. And so that's what's giving me the momentum I got now. And I'm going back and reading my notes from reading Neil Donald Walsh and all that stuff, and Michael Singer and all these guys that play in this realm of thought and, you know, spirit. And so when I'm here and I'm talking with you, I got those books and the feelings that those books created when I read them and listened to them, and they just flow in and it just comes out. So now that I've got people, that's the soil that I've created, the fertile ground that I've got. And now I've got Jason and all these other guys throwing some seeds onto it, and it just grows really quickly. So it's not one thing, you know. It's unfortunately, Jace would probably love me to say, "Yeah, man, you've rocked my world," and I hope he does, and I know he can add some serious value to the game I want to play. And as I said, I'm looking forward to being able to sit and have this conversation and look back on it myself and go, "Shit, yeah, you know, Jace, you know, we had a conversation. One conversation with Jason or one conversation with someone can completely change your world if at that right time you're ready to receive the message." Because I'm sure I've heard the messages that I'm getting many times. It's just at that point in time, you know, where I'm at, all that sort of stuff, I heard it and I did something about it. And that made all the difference, sort of thing.
I find it too with movies as well. I'm about to watch Avatar today, and Star Wars was trying to give us an insight into different elements. And it's fascinating with all the different things, and we can get that feeling through things. But the question I wanted to ask you then, just to navigate it a bit more, you talked about creating space.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so that's becoming, for me, that's quietening down the internal chat, reducing the ego and the ego's ability to want to cling on. It's about becoming more of the observer and just not getting caught up in the impact zone of my life with the waves crashing all over me, And now I'm getting more behind the surf and watching the impact zone from behind. It still happens. Shit still happens in my life, but my response to it now is very different. I'm not in the impact zone, gasping for air, and another wave freaking comes and hits me and I'm drowning. It's sort of like I'm standing behind it. The wave hits and I go, wow, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And that's the space I want to keep playing. And that's the metaphor I have in my head that allows me to rationally push through the feedback sometimes, that can come your way, whether it's a bad result in a business or someone you respect saying you're a fuckhead or you don't like your results. It's just you're able to step back and just let that shit go.
Fantastic. Do you surf? Random question, but do you surf at all? Yeah, cool. I'm just finding that.
A bit hard from Mudgee, but I used to when I lived in Sydney.
I'm always thinking about it. The guys have got a ranch over in California. So one of the big surfers over there has built this ranch and you can surf a 1 kilometer wave. And I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, one of the world's biggest wave surfers. He's basically built a facility where you can surf for a mile or a kilometer. And I always just come back.
Oh, so I watched the YouTube.
It's Kelly Slater.
Yeah, Kelly Slater Kelly Slater invested in it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, I watched it. It's cool.
A couple of my friends have been talking about it. But just as you say, those $1 billion ideas, I always think back, as you're going through the shit that Walt Disney went through. And now we have Disneyland, which is incredible. And I always think, when you say creating space, what was he accessing? What was he connected to? Just to contemplate that. Even Kelly Slater, he obviously lives in a super flow or beautiful state. But to have that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, keep going.
So just got on that train of thought, like in terms of, getting inside the waves. Even that someone even similar to your experience talking about before, where you saw that bee coming down. And I can only imagine the gentleman that came up with the idea to go surfing. He's just sitting there all day looking at the waves and goes, you know what? I'm going to get this piece of board. I'm going to carve it out beautifully. And just as I'm thinking about creating space for me, even in the coaching or business realm, a lot of times everyone does things very similar. A lot of times, we goal set in the same way. We do things quite similar, but then you see these people that come through and they do something completely different, but it just works. That's always fascinated me. And I'm just curious, when we have our next conversation, to see some of the things that are going to start to pop. And
So it's interesting when you say about the guy that has the idea that's completely 180 from, everyone else, and, Steve Jobs doing what he did. And I just think those guys are so connected with what they want to do and they're so clear on it, that they're coming from this intuitive place that allows them to just, create this, shit that no one's ever seen before. And, so my analogy to that personally is, I remember sitting down and writing some poetry for my wedding. And to this day, my father does not believe that came out of my head. Wow. But I remember so clearly writing this stuff down, and it just came out, much like in the way that Neil Donald Walsh. Sorry, I just got a bird just sort of came into my office. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure Adam would say that's a sign of something. Yeah. I'll have to note to self remind me to bring that up, talk to him about that. So my experience of being in the zone or connecting or whatever, of writing that poetry is a bit like the way that Steve Jobs had the idea of the iPod, the 1,000 songs in your pocket, and the iPhone and all those amazing things that's just completely changed the way we, exist.
Yeah.
For now. And those guys are rare because they're just able to tap into that infinite source or that infinite wisdom at a point in time or a level or wherever they're at that allows them to create that space to put that dent in the universe.
Do you believe it's rare, or do you believe everyone has access to that if they chose to?
I think everyone has the access to that.
But few do, it seems.
Well, I just think few wake up to that level. And I think that's, I've been thinking about this a lot as well lately. It's like, why aren't people, I'm sort of fighting in my head of going, why aren't other people, experiencing this? Why? And I think it's because they just don't know. They're not awake to it. Now, are they a young soul, old soul? There's all that stuff coming into it. I've been told that I'm an old soul.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to play in it. I don't know. But there's a desire to want to do it. There's I guess, an ability to let go enough to become aware, awake. You got to go through that process of just letting go of your shit and just going, you know what, I'll just hand it over to you. I don't know what I'm doing here, really. And not a lot of people will fight that to their death. Literally, will fight that to their death. And so, it's like some people do, some people don't. It's hard to explain. That's just the way life is.
Yeah.
That's if I try and left brain that, think about it too much, that's just the way it is.
I'm this morning I climbed.
But it's up to people like us, possibly. It's probably it's up to people like us to help those that want to play in that space to become awake and aware of it, aware of the beauty that can be created from that place. I really do think that we're going through this change in consciousness and the planet's becoming more aware, and I don't know if it is. I think the information's been out there the whole time. If we were all waking up on the level, I just think things would be changing. And I do hope that at some point we do reach a tipping point and everyone starts to. But I have a conversation in my head as well about, maybe this is where Homo sapiens is starting to sort of pair off in a subspecies of higher plane beings and lower plane beings, where you got monkeys and chimpanzees and you got humans. Maybe with the Homo sapiens sort of doing these ones.
Separate, yeah, wow.
But then my conscious thought, my higher thought has already answered that straight away for me. It said, well, your job is to, help those other people wake up.
Yeah.
That's what your $1 billion challenge and quest is. Not necessarily go and teach, but it's like, do it by just demonstrating who you are, what you do, and how you do it.
Back to your point before, how you said with leadership, I think that's what comes through. But just to finish up, so we end up on a great note, what are some of the possibilities that you're starting to explore and navigate? Let's just drop that in just for the end. It's not even relevant to what we're talking about with quantum movement. It's more for me and our conversation together. Sure, there might be people watching this, but I'm just here in this moment with you, and I'm just curious, what are some of those possibilities that have never existed that you'd love to see come through? Just while we're in that, we've created a bit of space.
For me personally?
Yeah, for you personally, for the world.
Yeah. I told you I'm getting pretty clear on all this stuff, so I'm happy to share that with you, because this is a log for myself as much as you and whoever else is listening.
Yeah.
So like my $1 billion challenge, well, there's two parts. The first thing I'm going to do, like right in front of me, what I want to do, like this stuff.
Yeah.
The nuts and bolts of what I do to add value. Is I want to get into, I'm in the car wash industry. It's something I came into sort of passively, something I did outside of the family business that I was in. I just invested in this car wash, built a car wash 14 years ago. And when I left the family business, that was the only thing that kept the roof over my head and the food on the table and, all that sort of stuff. So I'm grateful for that little business. And I just fell in love with its simplicity. And so now I've got more of them, and I want to continue doing that. And so I'm wrestling in my mind of how large I want to play with scaling how many car washes I want to own. And I can feel, this is the cool thing, I can feel a path there of where I can go and play really large in that, like with private equity and, going and buying up and consolidating a lot of car washes around Australia and even in the US, like it's happening at the moment with private equity companies in the car wash industry, because it's quite really fragmented. And there's an opportunity there to pull it all together and just do a really good model. So I feel the attraction. I can feel that I could go and do something there. I'm also creating a coaching product for the car wash industry that is probably where I'm going to go first, because I'm sort of my feet are sort of walking down there already.
Sure.
And that's with a software platform and some coaching IP and products that we can deliver via exactly the platform we're on now, as well as downloading some workbooks and just working through stuff that I create on video and, and stuff like that. And I've got people in the US. One particular client I met at a car wash show in Melbourne 2 weeks ago said, man, I want that for every car wash site we commission. And like, these guys are the second biggest suppliers of car washes in America. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's pretty big. How am I going to go and do that? So I'm that's what I'm taking on board, is like, how am I going to go and scale this thing and keep my family happy and, and pull this off. So I want to do that. But my real game that I want to transition to is in the, back in the farming and the space of the global smoothie beverage market.
Yep.
And I was actually doing the, just so you know, I'm not just woo-woo. This morning I was doing all the backgrounding on car wash industry and smoothie market, just seeing the size of the markets to work out where, what's the size of these markets. So they're actually about the same. They're about $30 billion market globally, each of them.
Are you thinking to blend them, or what are you doing? Because say people are stopping at a car wash, are you thinking to have that on site there? Is that where your vision is going?
No. I don't see it crossing like that. There's two very separate things. So no, we're working out a product that we can blend. And yeah, no one's doing it yet. So it's cool. And it's close to my heart because I love, the bee thing. I love farming. I'm really passionate about farming, and I've had a lot of health issues. So I've got a lot of knowledge around health. And obviously I like all the spiritual stuff. So, the food, the farming and all that sort of, that's just a natural pull for me, and I want to go and play there. But I feel like I've got to go and do this other thing first, because it'll lay track and it'll just lay good track for moving and pivoting to the smoothie thing. So, but I'm sort of doing them on side by side. So I've got to wrestle with, juggling a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I'm just fascinated. I'm a massive foodie as well. And I know if you live in Mudgee, it's all about the food. People love food and wine and stuff. And I was speaking to one of the guys over in Los Angeles this morning. He's put together a bottle called Frequency H2O. He gets natural spring water and puts light and frequency through it. And he's in Los Angeles at the moment. He's doing something with me, and it's amazing. And then guys now bringing out medicinal mushrooms, which was huge in China. And I'm looking at how do we put all these different elements together and package them in different ways. I'm coming up the moment with a nootropic, like a brain tonic ice cream. And it's so fun to get creative on all these ideas. Even, today we're doing stuff talking about your biz, quantum movement and everything. But I always love when people come together that are connected, some value is always added. Something else goes out. And that's why I appreciate these chats. And is there anything final you want to say before I wrap it up? I appreciate your time going through it.
No, man, I've enjoyed the conversation. I just love where things are at the moment. You're obviously, coming in. This conversation's been really good because it just continues to elevate my level of, that's cool. And so I appreciate that. Thank you. And no, that's it. I'm good.
Cool. Well, let me know when you're up this way. I live on the Sunshine Coast too. I'm at Cotton Tree. And if you're up this way, we'll go for a surf. Be good to catch up. And I'm excellent at making smoothies, my man. I make the greatest smoothie ever.
Yeah. Cool. So that's cool. So we have our board meetings at Alexander Headlands at the Seaverland.
No, so you do, when you say board meetings, is this you get people out on surfboards?
No.
Because that's one of the ideas I had. No, for reals, I went, you normally got the boardroom meeting.
Yeah.
I've done it in California where I've been guided by spirit. My buddy and I put the boards down in the water. We go, we're gonna impact billions, man. And then the waves went flat. We looked at ourselves and went, what just happened? Both get goosebumps. Then we paddle out the back. We go, we're going to institute this idea around the world, which I'm going to tag you on right now, which is boardroom meeting. I dare you. 100%.
I love it.
I dare you on your next event to do that. It'd be amazing.
So everyone go out and surf, and we go, let's have a board meeting.
Yep, 100%.
Cool. I'm going to actually say that when I have the next board meeting. So the board meetings I have are literally around a board table, and we talk about stuff. And yeah, it's not nowhere near as cool as that, but that is a cool idea. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. That's part of, like, I don't know, the more that I get up to that stuff, I just put all the different ideas and language together, but have a huge amount of fun doing it. And I just think the more we act, it's fantastic. It's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for you guys that made it all the way to the end watching us have a conversation. I appreciate you. You know, Ed Turner, been awesome for chatting forward to when we meet in person. If I like someone, you know how you see some, like, one person out of 1,000, you go, I have to catch up with that person. Yeah. The simplest way I've found it just to catch up with people, because everyone's got lots on and busy and kids and all that sort of stuff. But all I just go, well, Ed, I'll see you soon. And somehow everything shows up and I'll bump into you. It just works, my man.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Like it.
Thanks, everyone. I'm about to stop. Boom.